Late position, your pre-flop profit engine. In online poker games, late position is where your win rate gets built. Not because you magically get better cards on the button, but because you buy information. You get to see who folds, who calls too wide, who 3-bet too much, and who is protecting their blinds like it is a personal mission. Pre-flop is simple in theory. You want to invest chips when your expected value is positive. Late position makes that easier because you act after most of the table, so you can attack capped ranges, avoid strong ranges, and control pot size when you need to. What late position really buys you? Let us be direct. Position is not a vibe, it is an expected value lever. When you are cut off or button, you get 3 concrete benefits that show up in databases on most online sites. First, more folds before you act, which means more uncontested pots. If the pot is 1.5 big blinds and everyone folds to you, you risk 2.2 big blinds to win 1.5 big blinds. You only need the blinds to fold about 59% to break even, and most pools fold more than that versus button opens. Second, cleaner decisions because you have more information. Knowing who is left to act is everything. If the tight regular in the small blind is the only back-end threat, you can open wider than if there is a sticky big blind and a squeeze-happy small blind. Third, post-flop leverage because you act last. You win more small pots with initiative and position, and you lose fewer big pots because you can pot control with marginal hands. Range advantage. Why your cutoff and button opens print. Your late position range is naturally wider. That sounds risky, but it is profitable because the blinds are forced to defend with hands that realize equity poorly out of position. When you open button and big blind calls, big blind has a lot of hands like King 7 suited, Queen 9 offsuit, and weak suited gappers. Those hands have equity, but they struggle to realize it when they check first on every street. This is also where rake matters in online poker. Rake punishes passive lines and marginal calls, especially in single raise pots. Late position lets you be the one applying pressure instead of paying rake by limping, flatting too much, or taking low initiative lines. Rake does not change the fundamentals, it just makes winning the pot earlier more valuable. Choosing who you battle, who is left to act. Late position is not only about playing more hands, it is about playing more hands against the right people. Your open frequency should change depending on the lineup behind you. First, if the blinds are tight folders, you raise aggressively. Your range expands with hands like Ace-5 suited, King 9 suited, Queen 9 suited, 10-8 suited, and small pairs. Second, if the big blind is a strong defender and the small blind is a capable 3-bet better, you tighten up. You still open, but you drop the weakest offsuit trash and prioritize hands that play well versus 3-bet and flats. Third, if you are multi-tabling and you do not have strong reads, default to solid lower variance opens that keep you out of rake traps. Think suited broadways, suited aces, and connected hands, not dominated offsuit hands. Relative hand strength shifts by position. King-Jack offsuit might feel pretty on the button, but if a disciplined regular is 3-bet betting and barreling hard, that hand becomes a reverse implied odds machine. Context dictates strategy, not your attachment to a hand. Steal, isolate, and punish caps. Late position gives you the right to attack. Most players cap themselves pre-flop without realizing it. Limping, calling opens too wide, and using small 3-bet bets from the blinds without a coherent plan all create ranges that are vulnerable. First, steal when folds are likely. This is your baseline profit line. Tight blinds equal a higher open frequency and a smaller open size if the pool overfolds. Second, isolate recreational players who limp or call too much. You do not isolate to see flops. You isolate to play pots in position with initiative and punish mistakes across multiple streets. Third, punish capped ranges when someone calls from the blinds and almost never check raise. That tendency is a green light for high-frequency C-bet betting on favorable textures. Also, stop set mining as a default plan from late position. If you are flatting small pairs purely to hit a set, you are playing hope poker. In raked online environments, that mindset gets crushed unless stacks are deep, the opponent overpays, and you can reliably realize implied odds. Your pre-flop plan should include ways to win without flopping the nuts. Size selection. Late position is not always smaller. On many online sites, a smaller open size from the button can increase immediate profitability by improving your risk-reward ratio and reducing how much you donate when you get 3-bet. But sizing is not one size fits all. First, versus blinds that overfold, use a smaller open and print. Second, versus blinds that call too wide and play passively post-flop, you can size up slightly to build a pot where your positional edge matters. Third, versus aggressive 3-bet bettors, keep opens reasonable and prioritize hands that can defend or 4-bet with a plan. The best pre-flop adjustment you can make from late position is to tie your open frequency and sizing to the tendencies behind you. That single habit will outperform memorizing charts while ignoring the table. Hand scenario. Button permission slip. Stakes, 100 NL online cash. 100 big blinds effective. Hero is on the button. Hero hand. Ace-9 suited, Ace of Hearts, 9 of Hearts. Pre-flop. Folds to hero on button. Hero opens to 2.2 big blinds. Small blind folds. Big blind calls. Flop. King of spades, 7 of diamonds, 2 of clubs. Action. Big blind checks. Hero C bets 1.5 big blinds into 4.9 big blinds. Big blind folds. This is late position doing its job. You opened a hand that would be marginal early, you got to the flop in position, and you used a small stab to fold out big blinds air and weak pairs that cannot defend often enough. You did not need to hit. You leveraged range versus range, and you collected a raked pot before the rake got expensive. Common leaks from late position. First, opening wide with no plan versus 3-bet bets. If you are auto-folding too much to 3-bet bets, your opens are too loose or your defense is too tight. Either way, you are bleeding. Second, calling too much pre-flop. Late position is not a calling contest. In raked games, flats that do not realize equity well are a silent bankroll tax. Third, ignoring the blinds. You are not playing your cards, you are playing your cards against who is left. Tighten versus strong blinds, widen versus weak blinds. How to train this skill fast. When you review hands, tag every single cutoff and button decision. Ask 2 questions. First, what did I think the blinds would do, and was I right? Second, did my hand benefit from being in position, or did I pick a hand that gets dominated and torched by pressure? If you do this consistently, your late position strategy stops being guesswork and starts being a repeatable system. That is how you climb stakes in online poker, one well-chosen open at a time. Key takeaway. Late position is your pre-flop profit engine because you act after most players. Open wider when the blinds overfold, tighten when strong opponents are left to act, and choose hands that realize equity well in position. In raked online games, prioritize initiative and clean expected value over passive flats and hopeful set mining. Now, let's test your edge. Question 1. In the article's button steal example, 1.5 big blind pot, risking 2.2 big blinds, about what percentage do the blinds need to fold for the open to break even? Answer. About 59%. Explanation. The article states that risking 2.2 big blinds to win 1.5 big blinds requires the blinds to fold roughly 59% of the time to break even. Question 2. What are the 3 concrete benefits of playing from late position, cutoff, and button listed in the article? Answer. More folds before you act, cleaner decisions, and post-flop leverage. Explanation. The article frames late position as an expected value lever that increases uncontested pots, improves information quality, and gives you last action post-flop for pressure and pot control. Question 3. According to the article, how should your late position opening strategy change when the blinds are tight folders versus when the big blind defends well and the small blind can 3-bet? Answer. Widen and raise aggressively versus tight blinds, tighten up versus strong defenders and capable 3-bet bettors. Explanation. The article emphasizes adjusting open frequency based on who is left to act. Expand against overfolders and remove weaker hands when pressure and defense increase. Question 4. What does the article criticize as hope poker from late position, and what condition does it say must be true for it to work? Answer. Flatting small pairs purely to set mine. It only works when stacks are deep, the opponent overpays, and you can reliably realize implied odds. Explanation. The article warns that raked online games punish passive flats, so you need a pre-flop plan that can win without flopping the nuts. Question 5. In the button scenario, what flop bet size does Hero use, and what is the stated reason this works in late position? Answer. Hero C-bet bets 1.5 big blinds into 4.9 big blinds. It folds out big blinds air and weak pairs without needing to hit. Explanation. The article illustrates late position profit by using position and a small stab to take down the pot early, leveraging range advantage and keeping rake from getting expensive. Study hard, play smart. That's it for now. I'll see you in the next lesson.